Okay, everybody, so as I said, we're going to divide the class into two parts. The first 20 or 25 minutes or so, we're going to review the main topics that we have been talking about so far. And then the next part of the class, we're going to have the team presentations. So as I said, we have 7 teams. So hopefully we'll have, in the next 90 minutes, we'll have enough time to cover both the review and the presentations. So what I want to review first is, so far we have been talking about all those aspects, marketing management. And then after a few classes of marketing, we talked about financial accounting. And then we turned on to operations management, supply chain design and integration, finance, human resources management. We talked for one class about leadership. As I said, all these classes are the classes that you're going to take next few years. So my classes were just an input. So leadership is also one of the classes that you'll talk in detail next year. And the last one was strategic management. So we have talked a few hours on strategic management. And we will continue our discussion on that. So next class on Monday. So let's go through them real fast and try to make sure that all of us remember the concepts. First of all, when we talked about marketing, we said we talked about this definition of marketing. As I said, there are multiple definitions of marketing, but one of the most inclusive definitions is probably this one. Marketing is the art and science of getting a target market, keeping them, growing them by communicating superior value. Create, deliver, and communicate. And I explained that in the example of our local cell phone operator, Azarcell. And who can tell me how they define their target market? Hayala, would you like to?
Yes, they define their target market as all people of Azerbaijan, users of cell phones, and they get them and they keep them as they give, some advantage to them, or some, for example, making some
campaigns?
Yeah,
okay.
Campaigns for them. And growing, they do best of their work as competitors do, and they want to get subscribers of the competitors, and they create new things and they deliver their service to customers,
okay.
And they're communicating, for example, in operations,
okay.
They communicate with their subscribers. For example, one subscriber calling and they must answer to them very good for the second time to call them in the when they have a problem.
Okay, that's very good. So that's how Azarcell creates value, is by being superior to other cell phone operators here, right? Like, for example, Baxcell or any other operator, just by delivering a little bit more convenient service, a higher quality. They have a longer range of coverage. So that's how they create, and then they communicate, as Hayal said, by different advertisements, commercials. So wherever their target market can see those advertisements, know about them. And that's how I said would be a good example of managing marketing in an example of a local company like Azarcell. So we talked about these concepts in marketing. We said that there are multiple concepts in marketing: production concept, product concept, selling, marketing concept. Now we talked a lot about those. I'm not going to review. You all remember this. We have been tested. We have had the quiz, and all of you scored very well. So I don't see any point to review them. But I just want to, the main concept in marketing, as I said, was a holistic marketing concept. And I said in holistic there are two parts in holistic marketing. Relationship marketing, that's what we talked about, when businesses try to establish a relationship with their suppliers and their customers, right? And integrated marketing was, and when we talked about integrated marketing, we talked about the 4 P's and 4 C's. P's from the producers, providers perspective, and C from the customer perspective, right? In all of your business plans which you're going to present today, I'm sure you have paid attention to those. So, for example, whenever you're defining your product, you make sure that your product solves some of the customer solution. For example, there's an unmet demand in the market, and then that's how you meet that demand, how you satisfy that demand. Or there is a demand that's being met, but your product, your service, is meeting that demand better than your competitors. That's why you have made that business plan, and you hope that the business plan is gonna generate some good future, both for the company and for the customers. As I said, with price, your price would mean cost to the customer. So anytime you set a price, you keep in mind that the customer is paying that the price you set is coming out of the pocket of the customer, right? And place. And last time I gave some comments on team 5. I gave to your team, Ugan. Yeah. I said that when you set up a place, not only do you consider your own needs, but you also have to keep in mind the convenience, right? I know Ibrahim last time mentioned Caspian Pizza, right? In your business, you're making sure that your place is at the most convenient location to your potential target market, right? And your business also, right? Numbers. So again, promotion is just what Hayala explained is advertising. So for example, in your business, Yusuf, in your business plan, how do you plan to promote your service?
Promotion, we advertise first of all. We have advertising strategy. Okay. We're gonna post in internet, in TVs and journals, magazines, newspapers, and also we will. For us, we think the best thing is our company to get really well known, so that the company will sell itself. Okay. And because we will be like really ranked, good, highly ranked company, customers will need us. This is our goal.
That's very good. So when you choose a communication channel, you want to again keep the target market in mind. You want to make sure that it's in a place where your target market can see and can learn. For example, if your target market is for example, in Turkan's business, it's a private dormitory for students. In that business, your target market is who, Turkan?
Our target market is students coming from regions.
Okay, students coming from regions and studying in the capital city, in Baku, right? So that's your target market. So when you advertise, you're not going to advertise in the regions, but you're going to advertise it here in Baku, probably, right? Because that's where your target market is, right? So, and when you choose the channels also, you keep that in mind. So I think that's enough for P's and for C's. And then we talked about customer value. Now, from the marketing manager's perspective, this is probably the most important thing. Again, each manager, for example, operations manager cares about quality and cost, and marketing manager cares about how to deliver the value, as we saw from the definition, to the customer better than their competitors, right? So that's why total customer value and total customer cost is a very essential concept. These are very essential concepts. Total customer value is, as you can see from the definition, it's a perceived monetary and psychological and functional benefits from a product. Now, when we talked about that in marketing, I gave you multiple examples. Like if you buy, for example, Ibrahim, if you buy a laptop, what could be some of the functional benefits from it?
So maybe brand will be psychological brand for him. For example, if Ibrahim buys Apple or Ibrahim buys HP, I think, for example, right now in Azerbaijan, Apple is much more fancy than HP, and Ibrahim will get directly psychological benefit from that.
That's good. So a brand would give you some psychological, how to say, good feeling, right? I own a good brand. So that's very good. And the total customer cost would be, as I said, most people think, most even manufacturers, most customers think a cost would be only when they buy the product. Actually, from marketing perspective, cost would be much more than that. We said that whenever a customer is evaluating a product, so going to different stores and evaluating products, and whenever they buy it and then when they use it, so all the costs associated with that would be part of customer cost, right? In Ayub's business, for example, Ayub wants to eliminate in his business plan, he wants to eliminate or he wants to not eliminate, but he wants to reduce the total customer cost by eliminating the need by the customers to go physically to those stores by his online business. I know, can you give us an example of what would be, what kind of costs could there be after you buy a product? So let's say, to get that laptop you paid 500 manats. What other costs could there be after you buy it?
Many companies that sell computers, they don't give you antivirus. You can get this.
That's right.
Unit running problems that they don't be on the capital when you buy.
Okay.
You can buy also it.
Mm-hmm.
You want to design your computer.
That's right. So, in other words, all the antivirus programs you get, all the software that you get that specifically meets your needs, those would be the cost of using that product, using that laptop. That's very good. Or if there's also maintenance issues, right? Yeah. Let's say you, like as we read in the example of HP Oracle, let's say you as a customer crack the window, crack the screen of your laptop. Now there's a need for maintenance. Now that's also a cost. Now we have seen that from the article about HP way of dealing with customers, that was extremely huge cost for that particular customer. Frustration, and also the poor customer service by those service providers made that cost be extremely high. So again, it's not only the first the money what they paid it the first time as they purchased the laptop, but it's also what comes after they purchase. So based on these two definitions, we talked about customer perceived value, which was a difference between a product's cost and its value versus what the alternative product offers, right? And I gave an example in the verses of two local cell phone operators, Adiljon and Qafqaz, how as consumers, most of you, for example, assess or evaluate your perceived customer value depending on the cost and the total value that you get from that service. And then I gave you this example. I hope you haven't forgotten. There's a 20 to 80 rule. All of you remember this, right? Which says top 20% of the customers generate 80% of the profits. And there's another rule, 20 to 80-30 rule, which says, again, the same thing. Top 20% of the customers generate 80% of the company's profits, half of which is spent serving, or half of which is lost serving the bottom 30% of the customers, right? Now, Edwin, can you explain to what this would be in an example?
Yes. For example, if someone buys a computer and there was a guarantee and he can give this computer back,
okay.
And he worked with this computer for a time, and computer has a depreciation cost,
okay.
And when he finishes his work, for example, he can give this computer back, and that's unprofitable.
That's an excellent example. That's very similar to what I said in class, right? I gave you some very funny examples of how customers make use of that strategy. At that time, all of you laughed as consumers. But tomorrow, when you're managing businesses like that, and when you have to deal with such costs, then you won't be laughing. That's my opinion. I think you would be a little bit more sad when the customers are taking advantage of that policy, and these 30% bottom. Obviously, not, I don't want to say bottom, but 30% unprofitable customers are taking away half of your profit. That's a sad fact for business people. And I put that very controversial question. Most of you disagreed with me at that time. I hope right now we're on the same page. Sometimes you may have to think as managers, should we get rid of unprofitable customers? And in today's business practice, Orhan, what do we do?
I think I ignore these unprofitable customers.
So you don't necessarily ignore, but you find some ways, systems, in order to get rid of them, right? You set up policies in place which kind of puts an obstacle in front of those 30% unprofitable customers to make it hard for them to come to your business. And there are ways which you can do ethically and respectfully to those customers. You don't stand in front of the door and chase them, or you don't. When they call you, you're not going to hang up the phone, thinking he's in the bottom 30%. But you have some systems in place, right? So and again, you keep ethics and morality in mind when you make such decisions. And I gave you this example of, if you remember, how you can decide whether you want to invest in a customer or not. There is a cost of an average sales visit, which I said in an example would be about 300 manats, and number of sales visits would be 4 times. So to get a new customer would cost you about 1,200 manats. And then you also estimate the customer's lifetime value. So in 1 year after you get the customer, you get about 500 manats revenue from that particular customer, And if that customer stays loyal for 20 years, it means that, and if your company's profit margin is 10%, it means that the lifetime value for that customer would be 1,000 AZN. So if it costs you 1,200, and if you're getting 1,000, what would you do with that customer?
Fire.
What?
Ignore.
That's good. What is it about?
Ignore or fire.
Not ignore, but you want to fire, right?
Yeah.
So you don't want to invest, in business terms, you don't want to invest in that customer. And then we talked about accounting. Since we have talked about this very recently, I'm not going to talk too much about this. We said that in accounting there are two types of users of accounting information, internal and external. And as you can see, internal would be the managers of the business and other employees. External would be owners, creditors, and tax authorities. We use those accounting information to make accounting decisions, adding and dropping a product, product pricing, production scheduling, cash management, cost control, and evaluation compensation. And these are the four types of financial information that we talked about: balance sheet, income statement, statement of cash flows, and statement of owner's equity. Now you are, in parallel to this class, you are taking your starting at beginning accounting class, so I'm not going to talk about this. I'm sure you all know. And I think at this point I'm going to stop, because the rest of my review would be based on some things we have recently, just a few weeks ago, have covered, which would be supply chain design and integration. We all know just-in-time inventory management programs, right? We all know quality, total quality management. Six Sigma, we talked about it. I think it's all fresh in mind. So my point, the reason why I reviewed these were, when you're submitting me your plans, business plans, I hope you have included those, and when you make presentations today, I hope you keep those things in mind. With that, I'm going to start letting you do the presentations. And I think we're going to, as I said, we have 7 teams. Please keep time limits in mind. So with that, I'm going to start the team 1, next presentation.